This is the I'm Possible Project show, where we interview real people who have achieved incredible feats in the face of overwhelming odds, showing that impossible is just a state of mind and that anything is possible. I'm your host, Joshua Rivedal. Today, in episode 24, You Can Come Back, I talk to Jennifer Haussler Garing. Let's jump right in.
And Jennifer is a native of New Hampshire. She's a graduate of Johns Hopkins University and the University of Massachusetts Amherst. She's spoken about her experiences with suicide, mental illness, and resiliency at the American Association of Suicidology's National Conference, at the Texas Suicide Prevention Symposium, and at Austin Community College. She works as an epidemiologist. She's got a husband, a chocolate lab Rhodesian Ridgeback mix, and she also wrote a story for our first I'm Possible book, Re-Engaging with Life, Creating a New You, and she told a very brilliant story, and she told it very well. So, Jennifer, I'm really grateful and glad to have you on the show today. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Josh. It's great to be here.
Now, I've gotten a chance to know you through our mutual friend, F. Epstein, and through different listservs and different things and connection on sort of this lived experience movement within suicide prevention. And so I know you a little bit more than the bio that you read, and I know our listeners don't know as much as I do, but I want to know even more. So if you wouldn't mind, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, would you just give us a little background on your life, where you've been, where you're going, the Jennifer Garing experience?
Okay. My story starts with talking about my first suicide attempt when I was 13. I didn't realize that I had recurrent major depression at that age, but I dealt with some really dark times, and I dealt with a lot of suffering and a lot of pain, and really didn't realize that that wasn't the way life was supposed to be. I kind of believed that the only people that were really happy in life were people in movies and on TV, and everybody else was just kind of drudging through. And it never occurred to me that there was such thing as non-necessary suffering, that what I was experiencing wasn't productive, and that there was really no need for it, and that I shouldn't be going through it. It wasn't until I was in college that I was actually diagnosed and treated for depression. I was hospitalized when I was 22. I was seriously suicidal at that time, and I think if I hadn't been hospitalized, I would have wound up dead. But I had really great care. I was lucky enough to go to college where there's one of the best hospitals in the country. I think my mother believes that the university I chose, which was highly competitive, was one of the reasons that I had so much difficulty with my mental health. I kind of disagree with, but I think I would have had problems wherever I was. But I wound up in a really good place because of that. Depression is one of those things. I later got diagnosed with manic depression, which isn't unusual for women. We kind of tend to develop the mania later in life, meaning in the 20s, not in the early teens like the depression shows up. And the thing with depression and mania is that it's cyclical and it just kind of comes back on its own. So you have to learn to deal with it throughout your life. You have bad episodes, and I think what I've learned through most of my life, I went on to graduate school and I became an epidemiologist, which I think was heavily influenced by my illness. There's no such thing as a benign treatment, I found. Everything has side effects. Everything has bad sides and good sides. And when you look at different things, I mean, just think about the treatments that we have for cancer. I mean, those are horrible things that people have to go through to survive cancer. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you could just prevent the disease from ever happening? And that's really what epidemiology is all about, is trying to find ways to prevent disease from happening. So that was how I got into epidemiology, really, was going through being sick and going through being well, trying to get well anyways. So I became more of an activist kind of out of my own need to understand more of what was going on, and to my own need to try and help others not go through so much of the bad stuff that I had gone through, because it was really pointless to go through the bad stuff. And I didn't want anyone else to have to suffer like I had.
Jennifer, that's incredibly powerful, just from 13-year-old Jennifer to now. And all this discovery about illness, but there's some self-discovery too. I'm curious about that, actually. What have you discovered about Jennifer? What have you discovered about yourself as you've progressed through the illness living in your body and discovering it, but also managing it, working through it. What have you discovered about yourself?
I've discovered that I can't do it on my own, that this is entirely too hard for just me to do, that it's really important to have a support system, that I need my family. I mean, I need my family desperately, and I need my friends, and I need to mitigate the effects of this illness. I need to have things in place for when things get bad. And I mean, my family has been so amazing. They have come running when I've called. You know, whenever I've needed them, they have been there. And that has been my survival. And I couldn't have gotten through without them, just plain and simple.
Incredibly fortunate to have a great support system, but smart enough and experienced enough to tap into that. I think what I hear from you though is, or what kind of popped up for me was, I can't do this on my own. I desperately need my support system, family, friends. And I think no matter what we go through, or the good times and the bad times, or in the middle times, we always need that. We always need that support system, whether it's to share the good, you know, to have somebody to kind of, somebody or somebodies to kind of walk alongside with, or somebody to help pick us up, or for me to help pick you up, or whatever. We need that. And,
totally.
And that you have this astute nature to you where you kind of get that, you know, and unfortunately there was some pain that kind of brought that about, but, just incredible, some incredible self-discovery that you've come across. And, I think I'm excited to know that people are going to be listening to this, and hopefully this will resonate for them. Because even, like, I live with depression. I've been diagnosed for 6.5, almost 7 years, but I've probably been since 12, 13. And even sometimes I'm like, I can do this on my own. I got this. I'm like, no. But then the universe is like, no, you don't, bro. You know?
Right.
Go back.
The universe always gets you. Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm curious about the management beyond the support system. What do you do to manage these episodes and the dark periods? Because you have the good periods, you've said, but how do you manage those darker periods? What do you do for yourself?
Well, I think a lot of it is that you have to surround yourself with a good system, that you have a good doctor, a good therapist, someone that you can count on that is receptive to you and your needs. You know, I can text my doctor and say, I'm really having trouble. Can I come in? And she's receptive to that. And, you know, that is excellent. And I've always been kind of obnoxious, I guess, about it. I've had a number of different doctors because I've lived all up and down the East Coast and now in Texas. And I've always been kind of obnoxious about the fact that this is a team effort, that I am not just going to take orders on my treatment, that I have the ultimate veto power in not taking my medication. And I'm going to be part of the decision-making process. And I'm not just going to be told what to do. And so it's going to be a team decision. And, you know, for a while, I always went to see the doctor who was the director of the residency program at the hospital. And that was my go-to psychiatrist because they were better able to deal with me, because I would be on Medline doing my own research and stuff. And since they were dealing with these young doctors, they were better able to deal with me. So that was who I was always seeing for years. So that just made sense. But when I went to see, when I was in college, they sent me to a doctor in private practice, and he was really put off by me in my going to Medline and doing all my research on my own. And he couldn't handle that. And I realized pretty quickly that he couldn't handle me. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to work out. I need to see someone else. And I think there's a lot of very particular, you have to be pretty particular about your doctor. And I think in psychiatry more so than almost any other specialty, that you have to be, you have to make sure that you mesh and you work well together, because it does have to be a team effort. I also have to be really careful about my sleep and make sure I get enough sleep, go to bed on time, and get up in the morning and everything, because that affects me. And I'm careful about what I eat most of the time. I let myself off the hook once in a while, but I'm pretty careful about that. And I try to be healthy. I haven't been as good about exercise as I should be, but I try to be good about that kind of stuff because it does make a difference. And I try and do some meditation, that kind of thing, because it all is connected. So that's how I take care of myself. And then the other thing I wanted to mention about mitigating factors is don't be afraid to take advantage of FMLA and other health laws or benefits that exist. I mean, they're there or ADA, reasonable accommodations. They're there for all health issues, not just physical health issues. And I mean, you shouldn't be afraid that if there's something that's going to make it easier for you to work with your mental illness, you should definitely take advantage of the ADA.
Americans with Disability Act, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Just, I needed that for my own head. Like assistant district attorney. What? No. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Americans with Disability Act. And if you have a doctor substantiating your needs, they have to go along with it. And I mean, it makes a huge difference to have these things in place. So I know that it's difficult to admit that you have these kind of problems, that there's still such a huge stigma, which I hate. But if you can make your life easier, then you should do it. That's my soapbox moment.
Okay. Yeah. No, I just want to make sure I wasn't like jumping on the silence and robbing you of a moment.
Sure.
Trying to be a good interviewer, damn it.
No worries.
Sure, thanks. I love the ADA. I love the Americans with Disabilities Act. There's a lot of good things I just want to highlight, hopefully quickly, because Lord knows I can be long-winded, but and we're interviewing you, not me. But the ADA piece is great. It's like, that's why we have handicapped ramps. That's why we have handicapped parking spaces. And in my head, when I hear, I don't speak this because it just sounds so douchey, but like I think when I hear disabilities, I just hear differently abled, because there's different things that one can do, and I'm thinking specifically like with my own mental illness, and now I'm thinking of yours. And there's special things that you bring to the table that aren't like, oh, I'm special, but like really truly special things. And right. I think I want to highlight that and say that all of us bring something special to the table, whether we have one or two hands, whether we could smell or see. I mean, there's just,
right.
In the idea of embracing something like the Americans with Disabilities Act. I love that your doctor and your treatment is a team effort, because we would do that with our physical health. Many of us do, some don't. I've seen that too many times being in a hospital situation, but it is a team effort. And I always tell kids when I speak their school or whatever, like, you are your own best advocate. So you do all the research and be careful with that research, double and cross-check it and stuff like that. But bring that to the table, have the conversation with your psychiatrist or your therapist. And if they can't handle that, that's just their ego getting in the way. So
right.
I think, and that's what I was hearing. That's what came to mind when you said the person in private practice. I laughed a little bit because it's a good thing, but I was like, okay, there's ego again. Something comes up on our show more often or quite a bit. You're, I don't know, I just so appreciate the way you treat and just that you have a whole tool bag, and does it not? And so I usually ask open questions. This may be a yes or no question, but do you find that your tool bag is ever evolving? Like you need to, you've been using a hammer for far too long, and oh my God, there's a shovel I never knew existed. I'm going to use that. Speaking in metaphors, of course. Do you find that as you grow with this illness and as a person and in age, do you find that you need to constantly develop and find and discover new tools for your mental health / illness?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And I mean, I think you find out that your hammer gets old to keep using your, and as things change, I mean, you have different supervisors, different managers, different situations, that sometimes the hammer doesn't work for the same kind of situation, and you have to take out the shovel, or you need to use a blowtorch,
Love that idea, the blowtorch. Like, what could a blowtorch be? It's funny. So, Jen, with all this, I've heard you allude to this, but I kind of just want to hear you speak in whatever way you want. How do you feel like this illness, a lot of people see it as a detriment, as a liability, but how have you turned it into an asset? How has it made you a better person, changed your life or others for the better, if at all?
I think, I remember having this conversation with a psychiatrist when I was in college and saying, if I didn't have depression, I would be a real asshole because everything would have come really easily to me and nothing would have been hard. And I never would have had to really work for much. And I really had to work hard for a lot of what I did, in my early years. And it made me realize that there was a lot that didn't come easily for most people. And it made me understand what it was like to really have to work and to really suffer and to go through a lot. And it made me a hell of a lot more empathetic to what other people were going through. And it made me a lot more understanding to what other people had to go through. And I think without it, I'd like to think that without having to, walk through fire, I would be able to say, oh, that burns, and feel bad for someone who had to walk through fire. I'd like to believe that I would do that. But having gone through it, I definitely have a lot more empathy for other people. And I think that's a good thing. It's made me much more understanding and much more acceptable of other people's fallibility and, much more willing to accept limitations and that sort of thing as well.
I'm just hearing empathy. I'm hearing humility. I guess I'm just relating to you on that. I think with the things I've been through, it certainly softened me in a good way. And I think that's what I'm hearing from you. And, it turned me, I don't know if I don't think I'm a super huge jackass or anything like that, but I've had jackass moments and I hope and feel and think I'm getting further and further away from them being more frequent. But I know as a kid, I just had so much privilege, and even though I was poor, and there was just different ways, and I just wasn't nice to everybody for bad reasons. And so and the empathy piece is huge too. And I know you're such a huge advocate, and you've been on lived through this with our friend and one of our early guests, Desiree Stage. And so you sharing that, I'm seeing all these different ways, you speaking out, you working to prevent other people from suffering, and then just your own personal self-discovery. It's really what this show is about and why I do these interviews, because I want to hear it and I learn. And I think and hope that our listeners hear and learn also. But just the amount of takeaway that I have already, even knowing you and some of this stuff, it's priceless. And you turning your lemons into lemonade. That's what the Impossible Project is. That's what we do, and that's the people I brought into our ecosystem, and you are one of them. So you're one of our many baristas of lemonade. So I think it's powerful, and just I'm grateful to be friends and to be a fellow colleague and advocate. But I think this is the point where I want to switch gears a little bit. That's okay with you. This is called our quickfire round. And basically, it's kind of like our Jimmy Fallon or Conan O'Brien moment. And I play Jimmy, or not just me, and you play you. And it's just a way for people to see a different side of you. I felt, I always feel like our guests are very robust and fun and funny, but we do talk about deep social justice type issues. But let's be a little silly for a moment, because we have that going on too. We're a holistic person. So here we are, quickfire round.
Okay.
No right or wrong answers either, Jennifer. By the way, you can say whatever the hell you want, because this is your interview. So,
okay.
You ready? All right, here we go. Jennifer, what is your favorite word?
Grace.
Why is it just quick, or not quick, whatever, it's quick fire round, but you do whatever you want. Why grace? Just curious.
I just like the idea of it's a state of being and an attribute that I appreciate, and I just like the sound of it. Grace. It's peaceful, yeah, and it's a great attribute to have.
To live in grace, to be gracious,
to live in grace,
to have grace.
Yeah. To be in a state of grace. Yeah.
I did. That was a deep moment in our quick fire round. Jennifer, what's your least favorite word?
Pain.
Yeah, I don't like that one either. I wish people didn't have to go through that. I wish I didn't have to go through it either. But here we are. And pain ultimately kind of brought us together too, if you think about it.
Correct. So it does have a good side.
Up and down. Yeah. I guess it's how we reframe, right? All right. This is one of my favorite questions. If somebody decided to make a movie of your life, the Jennifer Haussler Garing movie would be on. Let's throw it on Oprah's network, OWN. for shits and giggles. Who would play the title role of Jennifer in that movie?
Oh, wow. I'd like to say Amy Adams, but it would probably be Lauren Ambrose, as she looks more like me.
Oh, I like both of them. Isn't Lauren Ambrose a theater actress too? I'm thinking she is.
Yes, she is. She is a theater actress.
Oh,
but I used to get told that I looked like her a lot during 6 Feet Under days.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. Awesome. 2 more. Jennifer, who or what is your spirit animal?
Oh, boy. My dog likes my husband best, so she is definitely not my spirit animal. But I'd say my cat, but my cat is dead. Does that count?
Sure.
I guess my cat Tennyson. Yeah, my cat Tennyson. I got her after I was in the hospital. My doctor wrote me a prescription for a kitten, and so I got a kitten. Yeah.
I love this story.
I had her for 19 years.
What?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
She was a great cat. Yeah, really long time.
It's like that's a good chunk of your life.
Right.
Wow, so sweet. A prescription for a kitty. That makes me smile. I like that a lot.
Yes.
That's like, I need to have you write a story about that, or I'll have you on the show. That just sounds really fascinating to me. There's something really clever about that.
Yes.
Okay, so the last one, and this is another one of my faves. If heaven exists, if it exists, Jennifer, what would you like to hear God say to you as you enter, or as you get kicked out? Either or.
He would say to me, "Your grandmother is waiting for you."
Oh, I assume you were very close to your grandmother.
I was.
Oh.
Yes.
That would be a very powerful moment. Super sweet. Well, I don't think you're going to get kicked out, so let's bank on that. If it exists, if we're there.
If it exists. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be hanging out at the front gate waiting for that moment. Maybe. We'll see. Super duper. Well, that's the end of our quick fire round. Jennifer, what is like the next maybe 6 months to a year look like for you professionally, personally, like whatever you feel comfortable sharing?
Wow. I don't know.
It's okay too.
I don't know. I'd like to do more writing. I think I have to do more writing. I think that's kind of personally what I need to be doing. I did some blog writing, and that was what was in the book was a blog post that I had written a couple years back. And I need to get back into doing the writing because that was really cathartic for me and really helped me to express myself in a way that a lot of my work doesn't allow me to express myself. So I think that's what is in store for me.
I like it. And you're good at it, and you're really good at it. So, yeah, of course. For credit's due. I like that. I think I might take that challenge with you. I'm such the writer, and it's not happening right now. So maybe we'll be buddies, accountability buddies or something.
Absolutely. Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. You know, if people want to I don't know. I don't even know if this is possible, but I ask all of our guests, if people want to get in touch with you, say hello, connect to some advocacy work that you're up to or anything, is it possible for people to get in touch with you to say hey or whatever?
Shout out at me on Twitter that would be cool.
Okay. What's that handle? I'll get it in the show notes too.
It's at Jen Garing with 2 N's, JENNGARING.
Super. All right. Well, Jennifer, it's always great talking to you, with you. We get a chance from time to time, but this was really insightful, really cool, and really an honor and a real treat, really, truly. I'm looking forward to post-production where I get to listen to this 2 more times. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, you.
Thanks, Josh, for the opportunity. This was great.
You've been listening to the I'm Possible Project show with Joshua Rivedal and guest Jennifer Haussler Garing. I love sharing stories and how to turn impossible into I'm possible. If you want more inspirational stories, our 2nd and 3rd books are in pre-order right now. Changing Minds, Breaking Stigma, Achieving the Impossible, as well as Lemonade Stand. Both contain powerful stories of overcoming tremendous odds. When life gives you lemons, squeeze, add sugar, and pick up a copy of The I'm Possible Project. www.IamPossibleProject.com/pre-order. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're more than a community. You're part of the I'm Possible family. Until next time, sending you lots of love.